back at the last 5 to 10 years, and we look ahead to the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spend,
Looking forward to
yeah,
that.
spend some 8, 9 minutes on looking back and 10, 12 minutes on looking forward. So I just want to set the context for future-proof marketing, but get into some basics first. Uh, if you look at the last 5, 10 years, and if you look at today, has the role of marketing changed in these 10 years?
Yeah, I definitely feel the role of marketing has strengthened, I think, year by year. And even if I look at, 2019 to now, which is not even a decade, I think what marketing is delivering today possibly wasn't even thought of, just a few years back. I think the seat marketing today has in a boardroom, to start with, wasn't even there previously. Also, the lines are blurring. Today the role of marketing is beyond just marketing. I would think anything that touches the market today, at a company is part of marketing. So it's become a more holistic role today. It's not just about the 4 Ps that we've studied or the 5 or the 6 Ps that we've studied. It's much beyond that. Today, if you look at customer experience, it cuts through pretty much the whole organization, and that today could be sitting with marketing as well. So I think it's become a more critical role than what it was previously.
Yeah, so you spoke about the role of marketing within organizations. And the way I'd like to define it is to look at the practice of marketing and the function of marketing. By practice, I would mean the larger picture, more strategic, more in terms of what we do. And by function, it is in terms of how we do things. So marketing has a seat on the boardroom today. It's become far more important. And my sense is if a CMO would meet the CTO once in 15 days, 5, 6 years ago, today probably the CMO meets the CTO 15 times a day. That has changed. But how has the practice of marketing changed in the last 5 to 10 years?
I think to kind of define it very simply, the output of marketing, and I would just say basics of promotions, which is a large part of marketing, would be the hoardings, the television ads, what you saw, and the metrics or the analytics on that was as good as the number of sales. But there was no clear analytics or clear relation or attribution you could do. Today, you see a lot more from a channel perspective. It's not just a television ad, it's not just a hoarding that you see. It's really the business impact, marketing is bringing in. With the coming in of digital today, there is a lot of, methods and process on how you can define attribution that is coming from marketing. And marketing and sales today, I would say, are both attributing to business. Today, when I talk to my leadership, it's not just about marketing metrics, whether it's digital or ATL. It's also business metrics and the contribution of marketing there. So I think overall, from a business, and which is why I think today we hold a seat, also in the boardroom, because of the contribution we are able to bring, and more than that contribution, the attribution that we are able to show. I think which was possibly missing earlier.
Is it more fun being a CMO or more fun being a CEO?
I love marketing, so I would say, yeah, that's true actually. I know I should ask you that actually, but I love the profession of marketing.
I think it's fun being a CEO if you've been a CMO. So my last question about looking back. Suppose I were in conversation with Neha on the same subject 5 years ago. If we had this chat in June 2019, and I asked you what are the key elements of strategy to future-proof marketing for 2024, what would your answer have been there? And you can't say COVID because in 2019 June, we didn't know COVID would happen. So what would you have said at that time were the key pillars of strategy to future-proof marketing?
I would say what were the things, I would like to address it on what were the things that were not possibly top of mind at that point. Technology would be number one, right? I don't think the way we are today as marketers embedded in data, technology, analytics, that would have been absolutely top of mind. Would it have been there in the gamut of marketing? Yes, but possibly not top of mind. I think the other thing I would say is the deep understanding. I think we've had, as marketers, deep understanding of consumers, but the tools we use today, right? That gives us in-depth, and because of that, the segmentation we're able to do, the targeting we're able to do, the communication we're able to put out there. I think that deep understanding and the agile understanding, I think it's not that we didn't have or didn't know we need to do that. I think with the agility that we can do it today, I don't think that would have been top of mind. You know, if traditionally a research would take X months to do to understand the customer, today you have a lot of AI you can use, social media you can use, do real-time surveys, polls, and really understand, the customer a lot better. And so the way you can respond to market changes today, I think that has changed drastically from what it was in 2019.
So if these were the elements that would future-proof marketing in 2019, and if you cut back to 2024, on a scale of 10, what is your score for marketers?
Today or
Yeah.
today?
Today.
Sorry, define your scale for me.
So 2019, you said these 3-4 things were important, and today we have done some things with those things. How well have marketing and how well have marketers adapted to what we thought was important in 2019?
I think, like I said, 2019 we didn't have all of this, right? Today we do have a lot of this. Is there work to be done on this front? A lot more work is to be done on this front. But I think we've paved our way well. I think we've collaborated well. Today, like you rightly said, the number of times you have to talk to your CTO or CIO is far higher. The integration or the lines have blurred between technology and marketing in many ways. Also on many fronts, we do a lot of hyperlocal at Mahindra. So even from a sales and a marketing perspective, the lines have kind of blurred. So I think we're kind of integrating and working a lot better with a lot of other departments, teams, including the CEO. And I would really grade about marketeers as at least a 8.5. More work to be done, definitely, but I think we're on the right track. I think one thing I didn't cover, the customer from 2019 to today is also a lot different. Right? The environment that we as marketeers, or even if I put myself as a customer, we've gone through. I think customers become very demanding. Customer wants to see products that are more authentic, more real. Customer wants to see the messaging coming from more real sources. So today you see a lot of us leveraging influencer marketing to put that message out for it to be more credible. I think what has not changed from then to now is the value of trust. And I think in the previous session also we covered that. I think the value of trust today possibly has become even more so, because the customer can express a lot more and across a lot of channels if they don't trust the brand. And that becomes quite a challenge for a brand to manage. So if you don't deliver on that trust, not just through marketing, but through a good product, through the good service that follows after the product purchase, I think the marketing could get impacted. So I think it's a much longer process for marketing. It's not just you've sold the product and that's about it. So you have to look at it a lot more holistically, and I think we're, as marketers, really on the right track to deliver on a more holistic promise.
Of course, trust is absolutely essential, and we were having a chat before and we spoke about what RISE means as part of Mahindra RISE. So would you want us to take us through?
Yeah, sure.
What does RISE mean? Where does trust fit into that?
Absolutely. So I think today when you look at the brand, it is the brand and the product together. The brand promise along with what you're delivering on the through the product, right? And if I just go back to the XUV 700, which has become a great success and a great I would say a product that today is doing really well in India. If I look at the genesis of that product, right, I'll go back to the Mahindra philosophy of RISE. And at Mahindra, we talk about RISE, and the meaning of RISE is when you help others rise, you rise. And the whole genesis of the XUV 700 was basis, the RISE philosophy, that we wanted to put a product out there that was as good as the BMWs or the other premium, SUVs that you have, but that would be affordable for a middle class, for upper middle class Indian. And so the product packaging was done in such a way, and the way we delivered it, I think we were really able to deliver on the RISE philosophy. So when I kind of talk about brand trust, it's not just what you're putting out in the product, it's also delivering that, your company philosophy, through the products you're putting out, through the communication you're doing, and I think that could really future-proof in a very big way. So brand trust, the right product offering, follow it up with the right service, on the brand. So again, like I said, holistic, and I think your analytics, your data, and we've had previous sessions, AI today we are talking about, all of that supports these bigger causes. And when you kind of put that all together, I think you're kind of towards creating a future-proof
So now we will
marketing strategy.
move forward to the next 10 years. And though you said marketing today is not necessarily the 4 Ps or 5 Ps or 6 Ps we studied, it's not just STP that we studied in, but it's a useful framework to have. And given the paucity of time, I'll try and use that as a framework. You spoke about the product quite a bit. You could respond to this either from your own experiences or generally. Center to everything is the consumer, and the consumer is changing. And the changing consumer impacts every P of marketing. We spoke about the product. So let's focus on price, distribution, and promotions. How is price in the marketing mix going to change in the next 5 to 10 years? And what is the implication of that for marketers over the next decade?
Sure. So I wouldn't be able to separate price totally from product. I would kind of club the two. And I think today it's not about price, it's about the value proposition. Right? Today you want to buy a product even if it's slightly over what you'd budgeted for, but if it gives you the right value proposition, you'll find the means to kind of get that product. So I think it's not as simple as that 1 P of price today. It's the whole packaging that comes together. It's what are your rights to win, and how do you actually put a value to that? And then how do you communicate in a more effective way so that the customer not just understands the brand promise, but even at a feature level understands what the product is offering. So I feel, the 3 Ps at least, which is the product, price, and to a certain extent, your people strategy also kind of stitches together, When I say people, today it's a lot about CX, the whole experience. And even if I make a great product, but I don't have the right kind of people who are selling that product at my dealerships, it could really kind of all fall through, right? So how do you kind of create a product, the right people, give them the right training, so that they can actually not just understand the product, but also understand the psyche of the customer. Today at our dealerships, you're not just selling a product, you're really understanding the need of the customer and then kind of relating it back to on how this product really fulfills that need. And on distribution,
Yes.
I'd like to kind of, talk through a little bit on that. Today, you have e-commerce, a lot of stuff can be done online, and that just suddenly opens a huge, I would say, an opportunity for us to understand our customers a lot better. And again, I think from a speed and an agility perspective. So it's hybrid in many ways, at least in our industry. And I think leveraging that is a great opportunity.
Did the product get hybrid earlier than marketing got hybrid?
I think hybrid came from COVID, right? The hybrid way of working, and it's kind of continuing in some cases. But yeah, I think hybrid's become a buzzword now across.
And how do you see, you have done a lot of content marketing, you're a huge believer of content, you've been there, done that. How do you see content changing, and what are the implications of those changes for marketing?
Yeah. Today, I think with the advent of AI, every marketer can create a content factory. And like I said, speed is going to be a critical game changer for organizations. How quickly do you put your message out there? 5 brands might have the same message, but who's going to put it out there first? Who's going to capture the mind of the customer first? I think that's going to be critical. So if I take a step back and look at, the whole game of creating a content factory from a quality and quantity perspective, that's going to be critical, and AI really helps us, take that forward. I think the second part to it is the messaging and the narrative. And that again becomes important depending again on, I'll just give you an example. We recently launched the XUV3XO, which is a, CSUV. However, our messaging, overall we had a brand messaging, but then even at every variant level, we had a way of packaging and putting that out. So today messaging is it can be very segmented, targeted to what the audience wants to hear, because the audience is pretty fragmented today. I might be a, hatchback owner who wants to kind of now move into a CSUV. I might want to buy a CSUV, or I might want a medium SUV, but today I see the features of a CSUV and I'm like, oh, this kind of works for me. But if the messaging will not cater to all three of, I'm just looking at broad audiences, but if the messaging will not cater to all three audiences, I will not be able to have a much larger pool to sell. So how are we kind of, let's say if you have a broader message at a brand level, how are you then breaking it down and personalizing that message for each segment so that it becomes relevant? I think relevance is going to be currency, and how do we kind of take that forward?
I think there's been a lot of sessions with data and AI being the buzzwords there, lots said, good discussions, but I want a more specific response in terms of how are you in your practice using data and using AI? If you could let us know how you use it, share a couple of use cases and how it's been helpful, that would be insightful.
Yeah, so I think AI is very interesting, and I think we leverage it, and like I said, we are all on the journey of AI, so we leverage it well today, we can leverage it a lot better. Some of the use cases could be, some of the AI chatbots that we have. How is your response time much faster to your customers? I think that's kind of a good use case that we have. We're also working on possibly AI agents, so rather than looking at humans. So how do you really look at the base work? It's not kind of replacing humans and the emotion and the sentiment, but how do you look at more of the basic modalities of things and you scale up? So some of those use cases are kind of working really well. On the advertising and the digital marketing front, I think we've kind of moved by leaps and bounds. So there's a lot of better targeting that we can do using some of the AI tools. Like I mentioned, AI today really helps you kind of form a content factory. So how quickly you're creating content, because what happens is in the earlier days, you had one segment and you were kind of putting one message out there. Today with digital, I want to put multiple messages on that one product. And digital helps me from I would say a channel strategy perspective, but with the messaging, when I have AI today, I can really kind of create the right messaging without doing much to the creative or the line, just tweak that and get the message out there. So I think both on, the media front, the content front, also from an ORM, today, especially in the B2C space, you have a lot of reputation management that can happen with social media being used by, pretty much all stakeholders. So how do you manage that? How do you listen very closely to, what is the sentiment on your brand? And how do you kind of then work around that with your narratives and so on and so forth? So I think that's also a very critical case, that we could look at, because, one small statement on social media can really lead to a big crisis. So how do you kind of manage that with AI? So a lot of this is, and then a lot more, I've just kind of touched on the tip of the iceberg with some of these use cases, but we can...
That's wonderful. My penultimate question to you is, we speak about future-proof marketing, but for people who run the practice, it's important to future-proof yourself. So what is Neha's regimen to future-proof herself? How does she stay in touch with the latest trends? How does she satiate her curiosity? Couple of tips that will be useful for young marketing professionals.
I think the biggest tip that I can give is your learnability. As we grow older, we kind of think, oh, we know it all. We stop learning. And I think, I would say, today you have your internet and everything's out there. You have the Coursera's and the likes, to kind of go register for a course. But I think it's the mindset that is very critical, that we should be on a path of constant learning. For example, I sometimes wake up at 5 a.m. just to kind of understand and go deeper into some of the aspects of new age marketing.
Right.
So that I'm kind of on top of what's going on across the globe. I think some of forums like these, attending forums like these, also really helps, understanding what's happening in other industries. And I think one thing that Mahindra has really done beautifully over the last 3 years, we've actually hired people outside the auto domain. In fact, I myself come from a tech company.
You come from a tech, HCL Technologies.
I come from a tech company myself, and today auto is becoming tech in many cases, right? And that's what's happening across many other industries. So how are you going to learn from other industries and apply to yours? And sometimes that might give you the first mover advantage as well. So I think the input I would give to everyone is really keep your learning mind awake all the time. And I think reverse mentoring is the other one. Today, I think you can learn so much for the youngsters who are digital natives, right? They've grown up with social media. So if you're not comfortable, feel free to take a class from someone younger than you. And I think that totally helps. And we are really building a culture of reverse mentoring at Mahindra.
Super. My last question, Neha, is um, if you were to say 3 or 4 important strategic things in bullet points to future-proof marketing in the next 5 to 10 years, what would they be?
I think I would start with trust, brand trust. I think that would be number one. Second would be marketing is not just the job of the marketer or the marketing team. It's the job of the organization. And that's what will help future-proof marketing and the organization in many ways. I think the third is that today marketers have to become technologists as well. So don't just limit yourself as I'm a marketer. There is a very thin line, and vice versa. You will see a lot of technology leaders moving into marketing as well. So I think those would be my 3 big points to kind of future-proof. And yeah, go all out. I never say no to any meeting today. Whether it's a partner vendor coming and showing or even a startup on what they have on the technology front, or a media partner saying, oh, this could be a collaboration we could look at. I actually say it'll be zero. Right? And the reason being, you don't know where a good idea is sitting, you don't know where a good technology is sitting. It could come from anywhere. I think you just need to have an open mind.
Thank you so much. Lovely conversing with you.
Absolutely. Same here. Thank you so much. Thank you.